Maybe because it took so long, the school crisis forced some of us here in Farmville to re-examine our beliefs. You must remember that I am a Southerner. Segregation was a way of life for my generation, just as it had been for my mother's generation before me. But I had a son. What should I advise him? Where should he go to school? We had to decide, and decide quickly, because of a last-minute development in the Prince Edward story. In 1963, while the case was still in court, the school buses suddenly began to roll again. President Kennedy had become concerned at the plight of the Negro children. Under the Constitution, the federal government was powerless to act, but the Attorney General personally backed a drive to raise $1 million from private sources. The free schools of Prince Edward County, open to Negro and white, were established. Volunteers came from all over the nation. There were ungraded classes, remedial reading, field trips, and dramatics and art classes. The free schools lasted a year. Only 6 white children attended. One of them was my son, Richard Moss. It was his decision, and I was mighty proud of him. It's not easy for a Southerner born and bred to change on the racial question. It took me, I reckon, maybe 60 years. Before the school crisis, I'd never had to come to terms with my beliefs. But when the schools were closed, I knew that I couldn't live with myself unless I fought it. And I was grateful that my son was on the same side.
In May 1964, the Supreme Court finally spoke.
There has been entirely too much deliberation and not enough speed in enforcing the constitutional rights which we held 10 years ago had been denied Prince Edward Negro children. Closing the Prince Edward schools and meanwhile contributing to the support of private segregated white schools denied petitioners the equal protection of the laws. Relief needs to be quick and effective.
September 1964. 5 years after they had closed, the public schools were open again. The white citizens of Prince Edward had lost their battle. Or had they? This is an integrated classroom in Prince Edward County. The senior prom at the public high school, now officially integrated. Not far up the road from the public high school, the private Prince Edward Academy holds its prom. Despite the court ruling, more than 99% of the white children of the county attend private school.
When the Supreme Court wrote Brown and struck down racial segregation in public education, it wrote it in terms so simple that a child can understand it.
Well, the law may have made us open up the schools, but it can't make us send our kids to them. No law's going to change the way we think.
Don't they realize it doesn't matter how many laws are made? Where do they think the law lies anyway? In law books or in people's attitudes?